Welcome back to Beyond the Keys, a Pat Lotz podcast. As always, Chris Lotz. We have a special guest today, Todd Fedie, the team lead, if that's how you label yourself, at the Fedie Group. He is at Keller Williams. Today, we're kind of talking about youthfulness within the real estate market here in Livingston County, and nothing but the positives is what it's contributing to you and your business. We were just talking about, and I want to touch on this if we don't touch on it again. Obviously, in the big picture, we are for sellers and we are for buyers. But I believe that at the Pat Lotz Group, and I won't speak for all real estate agents here in the community, but for the Pat Lotz Real Estate Group, when we see people like Todd's name show a house, or a PA that comes over with Todd's name, or such and such agents, that relationship historically does impact that ability, or the ability for us to want to do business with that individual. And from day one that Pat's been working with you, and then even I've been having these interactions, it's always been a very collaborative approach to get deals done. Protect yourself and your clients. But at the end of the day, it needs to be a collaborative effort to find a win-win opportunities. And that's abundantly apparent with the business that you kind of portray. Is that something that you're thinking about, or is that something that you are just doing because it's in your nature?
I would say it's a little bit of both. Like, it's just in my nature. You know, I don't burn bridges. I don't look to potentially screw someone over. Like, I don't want that reputation for myself. I don't want that reputation for my team. But like you said, there's certain agents where a deal comes in, or they're calling you or showing your listing, and you know the deal's going to get done because they're going to work with you and create that collaborative environment. Like you said, we're working for the end goal of getting everything done as smooth as possible. So
yeah. And 2022, I've said this line a million times, and I'm sure you've said this line a million times. 2020, 2021, portions of 2022, deals were pretty much identical. 15, 20 deals, they're pretty much all identical, all appraisal guarantees, all escalation clauses, all roughly the same price points. And we have the ability to kind of negotiate one or two of those deals up. So what's the difference? Agent, lender. And if we don't see an agent that, one, maybe it's not the best relationship, but it's understanding the reputation, or a lender, the same thing, understanding the reputation and their ability to close transactions, that has had the massive impact on our business specifically. And I'm sure you would say for yourself for 2020 and 2021. Is that something that, and I know at Keller Williams, you guys are very focused on personalities and group dynamics. Is that something that you're thinking about when you're hiring or you're bringing more people onto your teams?
Oh, absolutely. My team, I view them as a family, and if there's someone backstabbing or anything, they'd get the nicks almost immediately. It's
your reputation at the end of the day. So if, and I don't know everyone's names, but if you know, you have a buyer's agent kind of working on your behalf or within your reputation, that's, and if they are backstabbing, that's such a short-sighted success for long-term failure.
Well, same thing even with contractors. Like, if I'm recommending an electrician or a plumber or something, for example, I just had one plumber that kind of didn't do right by my clients and charged them and didn't even finish a job. I literally deleted his contact immediately. So I'm very particular with who I'm putting my name with. And if I'm backing someone else's character, they got to be just as good, if not better, reputation-wise, if I'm throwing my name to it.
You got to be, because that's the difference of being in business for 5 years and 25 years, and the amount of agents that are newer agents that we see burning bridges, or deciding that short-term success on this transaction is worth it, but that single transaction could mean the difference of you being in business for 10 to 15 years. So, too, and the whole kind of foundation of this podcast or episode was going to be about, again, youthfulness. You're 25 years old. And I don't say that anyway. I think that our society as a whole has a negative stigma on age sometimes.
Yep.
With experience, and that's not apparent. You started back in 2016.
Yep.
Post undergrad, or were you within college working to get your real estate license as well?
I was in my freshman year of college. I just finished up my freshman year of college.
So you were working and going to school?
Yep. I was going to school full time. I had to in order to keep my scholarship, I had to be in 15 credit hours.
Wow.
So I was taking 5 full-time college classes, and then at the same time I was working anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week.
Paying for college? I mean, how did you have to pay for college, student loans?
No, I got a full ride.
No way.
So Eastern gave me a full ride. I commuted, lived with a family member at the time. So I graduated with no school debt. Matter of fact, every semester I got a check to go to school and pay for books and things like that.
Wow.
And then so I tried to schedule it to where I was going to school 2 days a week, and then I was working the other 5.
That's really exciting to me, cool, because one, and to give you a little backstory about me, I went to Central Michigan.
Yep.
So technically we should be rivals. You were an Eagle. I ran, but I really paid to run. I did not get a full ride. I only ran for 2 years, and I was a normal student for the other 2 years. I had a great 2 years of being a normal college student for the most part. And me and Pat are kind of joking about this to a certain extent, is we kind of feel like that we're operating at 50% capacity.
Yeah.
And if I was doing what you were doing, I'm actually genuinely excited to see where you're going to be in 10 years. Because if you're doing this shit at 25, what are you doing at 35? It only is compounding if you continue to build those businesses.
Yep.
So, but why real estate? What was the direction 2016 to direct yourself to a real estate market?
I always wanted to get into real estate, and I had one of my mom's cousins at the time. I was trying to shadow her while I was still in high school, and she talked me out of it. She called me. She's like, "It's horrible. People tell you they're going to use you and then don't. And, it's just a very cutthroat business." So she talked me right out of it, because I was originally looking at Central for the real estate degree. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh, flip that switch. So I ended up going to Eastern and started off with a finance degree, because I was going to get into banking or accounting, something along those lines. And then I was nannying at the time for one of my past teachers' 2 kids. I call her Wags. It's the Wagner family out of Brighton, but she's like a second mom to me now. But during that summer, there was a job opening, and it said perfect for a college student, just a real estate assistant. So I'm like, heck with it, I'll apply. And I ended up going to the job interview with a bow tie, and it's like my signature bow tie now. It's in all my pictures and everything. But I was the youngest and least qualified, and I was hired because the bow tie exhibited such confidence, and I ended up getting hired over the phone after being interviewed by one of the assistants.
Nice.
So
was that at Remax?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's a great kind of testament to one. I've been saying this to young kids nowadays. Just 1 year post undergrad, they're like, "What should we be doing? What should I do?" I go, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I definitely think that you need to build your lifestyle or your career a lot about your passions and maybe what excites to get you up every single day. But then also too, take what other people have to say as a grain of salt.
Yep.
Because if you would have taken that original advice from that first real estate agent, you're not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah.
And how does that change your life? How does that impact your life?
Yep.
We'll never know, because you actually got the job and took that opportunity. But take what people have to say as a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So 2016, you're a real estate assistant.
Yep.
And is that more or less administrative ops?
Yeah, so I was working on listing stuff, staging, getting marketing brochures. It was funny because like the first week I was there, I was just learning real comp and things like that. And the team leader at the time came in with a bunch of different marketing materials that she took from other listings that she liked, and she wanted to like piecemeal what she liked from certain things and like make her own brand on it. She's like, create something like that. And it was so funny because I only met her probably once or twice before that, just seeing her and not knowing how she operated yet. But me and her were like yin and yang, like our personalities just went together. And but she threw everything down on my desk and was like, I like this from this, I like this from this. And I freaked out so bad. After she left, I looked over to Simon and I was like, what did she just ask me to do? Like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do at that point. And just kind of took my creative flair and went off with it. So
sink or swim, you know, in that situation, maybe if it wasn't you or you had a choice, am I going to do it? Am I execute it? Am I going to do the best that I can do? Or am I going to not fail, but choose not to do it and then find a different direction?
Yep.
And I think that's at the end of the day, that's all that's got to be the focus for a lot of these decisions is, one, make a decision, problem solve, and move forward from problem to solution, to solution. And if in real estate, if you don't have that ability, you are not going to survive long. Yeah. Because it's a constant cyclical cycle of solving problems. Yeah. So boom, that was your first, not first, but your maybe your first major initial problem solving situation. And that was the pivotal moment of, am I going to continue to solve these problems for somebody or my business, or am I going to not, and am I going to go down a different path? Yeah. Again, today, I'm sure you're looking back saying, hell yes. Yeah. I'm so happy I decided to make that choice. Yep. It sounds a little bit like my dynamics right now with Hannah. I don't know. Have you met Hannah? Yeah. My wife? Yep. I kind of do that. I say, hey, I screenshot these social media things. I screenshot kind of like some marketing pieces. I will screen record YouTube videos, and I say, hey, this is what we need to do. Yeah. And somehow, in some way, in some fashion, she always pulls that together. Yeah. And it's amazing to me. Yeah. You cannot say, actually, I don't know if you can say this. I have not wrote one PA. If you forced me to write a purchase agreement right now, I could not do it. Yeah. And with the changing in technology, Pat can't do it now either. Yeah. But Pat used to be one hat wears all. She's had a buyer's agent here or there. She's had an admin here or there. But a lot of the things that Pat's done, and that was one thing that we came back in 2020. I looked at Pat's business, nor was I ever in real estate, but I was in corporate America and kind of understood a lot of ops and sales. And I go, how the hell are you able to sell anything with what you're doing right now? So I was kind of that person to like Hannah per se is saying like, this is what we need. Yeah. Get it done. Yeah. But to be that person, dude, that's so valuable. I'd rather be the integrator. And I don't know how you label yourself, as a visionary integrator, maybe a combination of both, and a technician. Yeah. And to dial back on that, they believe that a business is incorporated into three individuals: a visionary, an integrator, a technician. Visionary, CEO, just kind of figuring the roadmap. The integrators are going to design that plan. Yep. Technicians are the worker bees. Yeah. Where do you kind of see yourself?
I would say visionary and probably the technician.
Okay.
Like if you asked me to design a system, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay.
But you know, I grew into the role of manager at the previous team that I was on, and I'm very good at the admin stuff. I can write a PA in 5 minutes. I can tell you how to do anything, type up an addendum, use all that verbiage and stuff. And when I was training my new director of ops, Lisa, for me, I'm very fast at it, and I'm a very poor trainer. I learned that very quick at my old team. Like, I don't have the patience to train someone. And I learned that very quick again with Lisa, because she's like, I'm not that fast at it. And I'm like, like, let's get this done.
Keep up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, keep up. And she made a joke that it didn't make sense until she started saying it. She's like, you're not happy unless your hair's on fire. And there's just so much going up in there that I can juggle, but I realize other people can't. And so I'm like, go here, do this, do that. And if I have a down week, she's like, you're stressed out because your hair's not on fire. Yeah. And then once my hair's on fire, I'm good to go.
I'm good. Yeah. You're at peace. Pat's very similar. Yeah. I remember like 2 years ago, it was like mid-January, which today is what, January 20th something? Yeah. And we're blessed to be very busy. Right now we have 15 things in the pipeline, either listings, buyers, or soon to be listed. But 2 years ago, she was like, what's going on? And it was like mid-February, and she's freaking out because nothing is happening. She's the same way. If her hair's not fire, if she's not working 8 hours a week, and she's very technician, she just needs to work and wants to work. Yeah. And then back to your original point, I'm cool with the chaos, because coming from medical device sales, OR, operating room things, it's just natural. Yeah. The second that we get a little hectic, Hannah's like, whoa, time out. Yeah. And she really needs to drive home the point of learning until she can run fast. And she wants to really perfect a process before she can really integrate a process. Yeah. So there's kind of meshing both of those worlds together. And that's the whole dynamic that we're facing, that I'm sure you're facing, bringing new people in on the team, meshing personalities, how people learn, how people want to learn, and how people want to manage. Yeah. So do you feel like, and I want to go back to your progression in 2016 to transitioning to new brokerage. Purely, let's just hit on it. Your numbers. I think that those numbers are those jumping numbers from, I believe, like 2018. What was that team's revenue?
The whole team
The whole
that I was
team.
on?
Yeah, the whole team.
Ooh, I don't remember. 2020 was like 76 million, I think.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
And then I think if you just dial it back, so 2019, I thought it was like 50.
54, yeah.
2018 was like 30.
Yep.
And then 2017 was like 20.
Yeah.
Those are big jumps.
Yeah.
Give me the short and sweet of it. You know, what was the recipe for success in those big incremental jumps? Do you believe on that team?
Yeah. Well, I would say shifting in sales volume per deal. I feel like heading into 2020, there was a lot more higher dollar
Price point? Okay. Did you grow the team? Did the team grow?
Yes, the team grew. She ended up gaining another buyer's agent on top of me because I wasn't really selling until 2019. And then 2019, I think I hit like 8 million in sales right after I graduated.
Yeah.
For the end of the year, but then she had another very experienced person that just took off with the leads that she was giving him. Fantastic guy, and he just ran off. I mean,
Yeah.
he's so good at what he does. He just took off and ran like a bullet with it.
We talked about this the other day, and I think that, so you see a lot of teams in a lot of different brokerages that have 30 plus agents, and their per agent volume is like 1 to 2 million.
Yeah.
And I don't know the numbers. I always kind of like vaguely speak on the numbers, but NAR says the average agent does 5 to 7 homes a year. And that to me is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's apparent on a lot of these bigger teams and a lot of big ecosystems within EXP that we know personally.
Yeah.
Some of those average agents are like 2 to 4 homes every single year. That's something that I don't necessarily want to be a part of.
No.
And one thing that, again, outsider looking in, you tell me, the success individually with your agents is obviously building towards that team goal, but excellence within being a good real estate agent and real estate agent consultant is probably like a foundational foothold at the Fedie Group, right?
Yeah. So I only have one part-time agent. And originally she was full-time, but she did pharmaceutical sales. She was actually a past client of mine, Rochelle. And last year,
I would not have guessed her as she's now part-time?
Yep. She's now part-time. All of last year she was part-time, and she still sold a little over 2 million. And I give her a client. I know it's
done.
As good to go. So being part-time and still selling 2 million, you know, Rebecca, I think, was at like 3.5, 4. Same thing with Chanel. And Jose, he had a rocky start with other teams that he was on. So with him, I had to kind of unteach him what he learned.
Yeah.
And like, I was taking him on appointments with me. I'm like, this is how you properly sell. Like, he didn't have that sales training from other teams that he was on. So as I was showing him what to do, he's blowing everyone out of the water right now. He's got 800,000 on the board right now. And I'm at like 300 from 25 days in. And I'm like, what that? So Jose is going to be right up there with Rebecca and Chanel, and they're already killing it this year. Everyone's got stuff in the pipeline. And like you said, I don't want to be a team leader that's babysitting 20 some people. Like, that's, if you're going to be on my team, we're going to have the same level of excellence and just running toward the same goal. And
run my brand as the way that I would run my brand.
Yep.
And and not that it matters, but we kind of have this mentality when Hannah starts to train certain people. It's watch me do. You do, I watch. You watch, I do. We do together. You do, I watch for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So week. And I think that's massively important. Well, actually, the biggest thing that's so important is unlearning maybe a process or a procedure that's not going to represent your brand properly.
Yeah.
So that was probably by far the biggest pivotal thing for Jose.
Yeah.
What was your thought on that, I guess? Were you even, and that's the hardest part with somebody who's excelling at 25 and doing a lot of these great things. Are you even thinking about that? Or are you just doing it? Are you thinking about how you're going to train these people? Are you thinking about how you're going to untrain them? What's that thought when you're focusing on that team dynamic?
No, I'm just kind of doing it. Like with Jose, for example, I didn't realize until I started working with him that, oh gosh, I got to untrain what he just learned, because he at first wasn't getting it. And I had to dissect that a little bit. I'm like, okay, why, like, what were you taught? Like, I had to dive deeper into that before I realized, oh, what was happening beforehand was not helpful to what you were doing.
It makes me think of seek to understand versus seek to be understood.
Yep.
Like you need to learn. One, Todd's got to learn exactly how Jose's processing certain things.
Yep.
So then you can say, okay, time out. Now I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
And this is where we need to be. And this is how we're going to build from that point in time.
And that takes a level of emotional intelligence that I don't think a lot of team leaders now that are forming teams have.
Mm-hmm. Or ever have the ability to, because I think a lot of people build these teams with, this is my perspective, we have no desire to do these things, but a lot of people that I'm viewing, I go, time out. I don't necessarily think that. I think you really need to be excel as an individual agent or as an individual that understands how to build a team before you can bring more people into your ecosystem to really thrive together.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can see that at even some like larger brokerages, where one, these agents are kind of creating bad names for these larger brokerages, and then two, it's not gaining to team success.
Yeah.
That's massive. And you've been your own team for how many years?
April 21, so going on 2 years.
And that just, I laugh because people have been doing this for 35, 40 years and probably are not seeing that short-term success, but it doesn't really matter. I think the age and the years of experience has no metric for your ability or anyone's ability to be able to be successful within real estate or growing a team. It's about you understanding on one, what's your end goal in mind, where you want your team to be, and how you're going to incorporate the right people to get that end goal in mind, and then just build every single person up.
Yeah.
And that culture.
I mean, that's why I have facial hair, because I kept getting asked when I was going on showings, how old are you? And I got so sick of that question because I knew as soon as I answered it, they were going right back in their shell. But little did they know I was managing a team that was doing 30, 40, 50 million in sales, being the right-hand guy for just about every single transaction that was going through. So as soon as I grew out facial hair, I never got that question.
If you do get that question nowadays, do you get that question nowadays?
Few and far between, yeah.
How do you overcome those objections? Or do you? Or do you say, no big deal. If that's going to be the metric that you decide on my ability to sell, then whatever.
I feel like I get it less because of the appearance that I come in with. Like, for example, listing presentations. I have my custom binder, everything that comes in. I show up in a nicer car. Things like that. I hate to say it, but I feel like in sales, you're judged on things like that. Mm-hmm. So for example, when I was first starting and, I had my little Pontiac Grand Prix, and I'll never forget, it died in my old team leader's driveway. And I was so mortified that it got towed. And I literally went to the dealership that night and got a new car. I was like, that is never going to happen at a showing. Like, I would be absolutely mortified if I went to a showing and the thing didn't start. So, like, for example, Jose, he has this car that he loves, this little Toyota Corolla that he has, and I give him so much crap for it. But I ended up, when I upgraded my car, I kept my Jeep because I couldn't sell it, and I have him driving it now. And the difference in how he's portrayed just showing up in a different car, I feel like is crucial to his success now.
People, unfortunately, and I think that that's the difference between understanding that and using that versus understanding that and fighting against that. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, we live in a society where first impressions do matter, and materialistic things do have an impact on the ability to secure business. But it's using that and not fighting against that, like that stigma per se, and leaning into it a little bit more. I'm right there with you. When I shave, I look like I'm 13 years old or 18 years old. Do I think that, have I had to deal with that objection thus far? No. But my first year in business, I constantly was getting how many homes have you sold? How many homes have you sold? And technically, I've sold like 0 homes or like 3 homes. And that's a different conversation than saying I've sold, we've sold close to 500 units per se, as whatever the team aggregate's going to be. And one, I've started to use Pat's numbers or lean into that experience because at the end of the day too, I haven't been doing it for 25 years, but do I have the experience of someone who's been doing it for 25 years? Yes. So leaning into that per se and understanding when I get that objection, exactly how I'm going to mitigate that. I personally mitigate that with experience. Well, we sold 88 homes last year. You tell me. The average agent sells 5 to 7, Mr. Consumer. You tell me if that matters.
And sounding confident in how you're saying that makes a difference too. Like if you're saying, and stumbling on your words, it makes a difference versus where you're going into an appointment sounding affluent as to what you're talking about.
Yeah, and to that point, and this has been a metric for mine for a long time, more personally than anything, they're never going to remember what you say, but they're going to remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
But clearly articulating that point and that message is very important to making them feel like they are safe and secure doing business with somebody like you.
Yep.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I would actually love to film you at a listing appointment because that's probably a masterclass.
So that was my bread and butter at the first team I was on. They were a very heavy team with listings, and I would go on every single listing appointment. I would get the binder ready. I would get everything ready. And so when I'm at a listing appointment, it's like my bread and butter. I don't want to brag, but I'm very good at listing appointments.
You know what that's worth? That's worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales training.
Yeah.
And that, regardless of your start to where you are today, I think looking back, like my mom started with, I'll tell you later, my mom started with a bulldog out of Washington County. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, shit, man. But those 2 years of working with her changed Pat's trajectory of real estate.
Yep.
And she'll always think back to how did so-and-so did it? How did so-and-so did it?
Yeah.
That right there. And I did, I touched on it a second ago, but I used to do medical device sales. Mm-hmm. So orthopedic implants, plates and screws. I've got thousands and thousands of dollars in experience of sales training. Am I using it for medical device sales in those corporations now? No.
Exactly.
But it's so valuable. So could I have been where I am today starting where you started? Probably not, honestly. I think I had to do a lot of these things to kind of get where I am today within real estate. And I think that's super valuable. I think you would say the exact same thing to your start to where you are today.
Oh, yeah. Right? I wouldn't be nowhere without the first 5 years that I had on the first team that I had.
Are you telling that to your, ideally, you would keep these team members on your team for years and years to come, but not necessarily... Historically, with statistics, that's not going to be the case. Mm-hmm. I guess, where do you see the future of your team in retaining your team members? And are you letting them know that? Because that's one thing that I would definitely let them know is, guys, leverage my experience. Learn from me. If you leave and you do your own stuff, I'm going to be here to support you. But take advantage of this opportunity while you have. What's that dynamic on the Fedie Group? Are you educating consistently?
Yep. So every Monday at 1 o'clock, we have script practice. Like the last one we did was actually going over listing paperwork because I'm so used to it. I'll fly through paperwork and make jokes, and I got my wording down on how I describe everything. So we were working on that. But I feel I don't take for granted, but I know everyone on my team, we're so close. And like Chanel, she's like a sister to me. Rebecca, she's like the work mom. And Rochelle, me and her, she, it was funny because
brother and sister.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm hitching my trailer onto you, or whatever she first said when she first joined the team. But I feel so close and so connected that we've built such a family dynamic that, yes, I'd be disappointed if they left, but obviously I'm going to be rooting for them. But I think making sure that they're appreciated, knowing that they're appreciated, celebrating successes. And, we try to every once a quarter do team building activities like we did an escape room. We're going to Top Golf next. And
I think you have a choice, and obviously you're making very good choices, but you have a choice. When something is done to you, you can do it to the next person, or you can stop it right there.
Yep.
And I think for my perspective, this brief conversation, just knowing you're choosing to intentionally make those people remember how they made you, how you made them feel positively.
Yep.
And that's massive. To one, not burning bridges.
Yep.
Two, employee retention, and 3, building that confidence so they grow, so you grow.
Yep.
And I don't think, and that's just my perspective, I could be very, very wrong, but I think that a lot of other team leaders aren't necessarily thinking about that, but it's also apparent because of like the lack of success in some aspects of their business.
Yeah.
So dude, props to you. Cause like you said, the somebody at 65 years old does not have, in some cases, will not have the same emotional intelligence that you have at 25.
Yeah.
So be prepared, and everyone watch out where Todd's going to be at 35, at 45, at 55, and where's the direction for 2023 for you, and then beyond. Let's touch on 2023 right now, and then what's the beyond?
Like team goals?
Yeah.
So team goals, I want to maintain what we did last year, obviously coming into a shifting market a little bit. So we made our goals a little more strategic on that and focusing on relationships. I don't want to be the agent that's continually chasing business. I want to try to attract as much as possible. So we're doing like the team client appreciation events and really focusing on our sphere. Like for example, one of my clients graduated, they got a graduation gift. If they get a new baby, they're getting diapers and the things hand delivered to their door. So we're very big on trying to build those relationships and build that sphere and past client database. So,
what would you say your sphere is right now? 300, 500, 600 number wise?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
let's just call it
database,
500.
Yeah.
So 500, and one, we've been not chasing a lot of business because probably 75% of our business is sphere-based stuff.
Yeah.
So there's testament to that. We spend a lot of money in different avenues of our business versus our sphere.
Yeah.
We've decided to say, forget that. We're going to take that money and we're going to put it right back into our sphere.
Yep.
Because if you have that database of 500, let's just say a fifth of that actually gives you a referral every single year.
Yep.
100 units is nothing to joke about
Yeah.
on buy or sell side. And that's a fifth.
Yep.
I think that at least 2/5 is even possible and maybe even 50%.
Yeah.
And then that's of your sphere, times that by the other people in your organization.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's more business than you could even handle.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, then you're delegating or you're hiring and you're kind of figuring those things out from there. But people don't think about that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you've read Ninja Selling, but it's
No.
So I had a lender give it to me when I first started my team, and I modeled my team as much as possible around that because it's based on relationship selling. And so like birthdays, for example, they always get a handwritten card, $5 gift card to Starbucks. Well, this year we're going to do lottery tickets to switch it up so that you're not getting a Starbucks gift card every birthday. But
I got this last year.
Yeah, exactly. So we're switching up things like that. But the amount of thank yous I get back, like I haven't gotten a birthday card in however many years. And it's just that little touch point that took me 2 minutes, just being thoughtful, which is just generally in my nature, and, you know, turning it into top of mind.
Yeah. Pat probably couldn't tell you because she's very technician based, but people always ask. Like I come into the business and Pat has always removed herself from wild card events, from speaking engagements, from communicating with other agents outside of business transactions, because at the end of the day, you know, we're here to work.
Yep.
And my perspective though is the authenticity and the actual genuine connection that Pat creates with individuals, and the things that we do to make sure transactions get from A to Z as easy as possible.
Yep.
That's the shit that people see.
Yeah.
And that's the shit that people remember. And that's the reason that we continue to get the referral-based business. You're no different.
Yeah.
You're absolutely no different at all. I actually believe that there's going to be a huge market shift here in the next few years of these legacy agents that have been doing it for years and years and years. And good on you. You've had a very successful business for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
But I think that more consumers, younger people are getting into this marketplace. So we have a great opportunity for first-time home buyers, mid-20s, early 30s.
Absolutely.
We connect a little bit easier. But then those legacy agents that are not evolving or adapting to the culture and the times, there's going to be a huge shift for, I don't have a real estate agent anymore.
Yeah.
And it's for us, I want to make sure, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to make sure that we capitalize on that as best as possible, leveraging those people's spheres.
Yeah.
I have an idea of how we're going to do it, and it's creating that relationship between legacy agent has one foot out the door. You don't want to be doing this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
We'll give you a referral.
Yep.
And I'll be more than happy to pay you out 40% if it means we're receiving that business, and then we're going to go above and beyond and convert them to our sphere and grow our sphere of influence and our database.
Well, that, and you know, I even had a longtime family friend that I started showing houses to, and they were talking about doing for sale by owner for their house, and I'm like, you know, that's fine. Like, I'll still be able to help you. And I was showing them a house, and they were kind of on the fence. You know, they were like, I think we want to write an offer, but you know, it's not our dream house. And I thought it was a poorly done flip. I'm brutally honest with my clients. They appreciate it. And I told them, like, flat to their face while we were there, and I was like, if you guys write an offer on this house, I think you're settling. And right then and there, they went back, and they actually, because they're friends with my sister, they went back and, you know, were telling my sister, we're not doing anything without Todd.
Yeah.
Just because that honesty meant so much to them. And like you said, like creating the experience, like I got a little trunk storage thing in my car, and it's filled with chips and like little cookies and stuff. So like kids, for example, when they come to the showing, I'm like, if you're good, Carter, there's chips and applesauce in my car, like, but you got to be good. So they'll be like perfect throughout the entire showing, and then they'll run up to the car. But it's funny now because I've shown him however many times, and he's like, "Do you have the chips, Mr. Todd?" I don't know how Mr. Todd got coined.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what I keep getting from all these little kids that are part of the family now. So
I might call you Mr. Todd from now on.
yeah.
But that's the difference of going above and beyond in a business and with consumers, and them realizing, because too, if we all day long we have individuals that either choose a different real estate agent or do a FSBO type opportunity, and that's fine, but it's supporting them within that decision. And then the amount of times that we're still getting phone calls saying like, hey, like we worked with this agent, but this is happening, what would you guys do? Then they realize that we're in it for the serve and not sell. But that's, again, the difference between selling 5 to 10 homes a year for the next 25 years and selling 80 to 90 homes a year for the next 10 to 30, 40 years.
Yep.
And people remember that.
Yeah.
They're not going to forget what you did or how you did it or how you made them feel. And that's with anybody. Yeah. And again, I think that's the difference of having a very, very successful business here for 2023 and beyond, because the fact of the matter is, like you just said, shifting market 2023, 2024, who knows what the future holds for us. Yeah. At this point in time, we are blessed enough, knock on wood, to be very active and consistent here through January, which historically January is nothing but dead. Yeah. And I believe Q1 is more about 10% of your business for a calendar year. Q2, Q3, 30, and then Q4 is going to be that remainder business. Yep. So to be blessed and active this early on within 2023 is awesome. Yeah.
And like you said, it goes into the collaboration of you're not stiff arming other people. And like, for example, my first year, one of the first listing appointments I went on after I formed my team, I ended up not getting it and I lost it to Marianne McCreary. And I was like, that's an honor that I was even up against Marianne McCreary. Like, she's just one of those agents I absolutely love and adore. And
we'll lose all day long to a Buckley Jolly. Yeah. Or whatever. And Pat's like, you're in good hands.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in good hands. You know what the difference is, though, too, is some agents might start to badmouth them in front of those clients. And again, that's a big impact on how you make them feel. Yep. Versus, hey, and we'll never ask who we're up against. Yeah. But if it does come up in conversation, Todd Buckley, Jerry Guerin, 10 out of 10. Todd Fedie, 10 out of 10. Yeah. So if that's who I'm up against, it doesn't matter who you choose. You're going to be taken care of, and you're going to maximize the sale of your home or be taken care of on the buy side of things.
Absolutely.
And actually, I don't even know if I should say her name. I don't think it matters, actually. But she recently just came to K2B Living. That might be the tell-all. I had a buyer call me from Zillow or something. And at that point in time, it was more or less just a therapy session. Oh, hey, calm down. It's okay. Like, everyone's struggling through 2021 and 2020. Like, this is not an easy market, especially if you're FHA, which she was. Yep. And I go, who's your agent? And she's like, it's so-and-so, but it's so-and-so, but it's so-and-so. And then the last one was the team lead. And I said, you need to call her. Yep. I know exactly who she is. She's a 10 out of 10 agent. Yep. You need to trust the process. You need to trust that they're actually doing what needs to be done and giving you great advice to get houses under contract. Yeah. Just trust us. Yeah. Just trust us. I'm not going to tell you the good news. The good news is not that we have to go 40K over, but if that's what we need to do to get the deal done, at that point in time, you have the ability to say yes or no. Yeah. And if you say no, the unfortunate reality is we're probably not going to get that home. Yeah. I fast forward, that person calls the team lead. Team lead calls me like 30 minutes later. She goes, Chris, that's freaking awesome. She goes, what the hell? She goes, you could have stole that. I go, what does it do? What does it do for me to steal that business from you?
Exactly.
And then the next time that I need something from you, you're going to go, Chris stole that. Yep. And she still owes me a steak dinner. Yeah. If she sees this, she still owes me a steak dinner. But again, I think that in the big picture of life, in the big picture of this very, very small community, we're not in New York City. There's not 9 million people on an island. We're not in California. Yep. When you burn a bridge with 200,000 people in Livingston County, it is going to be a slippery slope, and you're 7 people of separation from every single person in this community. Yeah. Be careful on those things.
I didn't realize how many eyes were on me until I left the team I was on and formed my own team. Like, I didn't realize how, the amount of agents I had to reach out to me, like, hey, congrats, or, over at Keller Williams when they were trying to get me over, they're like, you need to come over here, come join us, have some fun. And, I personally didn't realize how many eyes were on me. I was like, oh, I'm just some buyer's agent.
Who am I?
Yeah. And then, obviously once I started gaining my sales and whatnot, I didn't realize how many eyes were on me. Same thing, I'm sure, with you. where people mention Pat Lotz, they're like, oh yeah, and Chris.
Yeah.
Like things like that.
I'm now getting to the point where, and we'll probably touch on that and then wrap this thing up. I'm now getting to the point where it's Chris.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised on how many times I go by Pat.
Yeah.
And the joke is I'm going to switch my name to Patrick. So it doesn't matter who you call, you're going to get Pat Lotz. I was at Lowe's the other day and some guy comes up and he goes, oh, you do real estate? He goes, I do real estate too, part-time. But I didn't realize that Pat Lotz was a young guy. I go, yes, he is. Yeah. Doesn't matter who he is at this point in time. But I'm now getting to that point where I have, and a lot of young agents will ask me this because I think on the buy side we did like 36 units last year, or like 40 or something, and in selling buy it was an aggregate of like 88 or something like that. But those were all mine, regardless of how those came to me. I was still building those relationships with the other agents.
Yeah.
So when I pick up the phone, it's not, oh, hey, Chris, Pat's son.
Yeah.
It's, hey, Chris Lotz. And to be able to build that quick success for your own brand or for my own brand within a 2-year span, because like you said, you didn't start selling real estate legitimately until like 2019, like really hitting the ground running in 2020, which it's the wild freaking West.
Yeah.
But that's the confidence. And I'm sure the big takeaway is over your past 3 years of like, damn, those were great years, but I'm definitely doing the right shit right now.
Yeah.
And that's massive. Like I said, watch out to see what you accomplish in the next 30, when you're 35, when you're 45, when you're 55, next 10, 20, 30 years. Watch out. But then too, back to our original point, we're very collaborative mindset. So we want to work with you. We don't want to work against you. And if you're working against us, it doesn't get us to the goal of where we want to be for all these buyers and sellers. There's not going to be too many people that are watching this. I think it's like 50 to 100. We're slowly growing our YouTube. I don't know if these people know who you are. So how can they connect with you? Where can they connect with you? Social media? Where would you direct them?
So we have the Fedie Group Facebook page, Instagram. Typically on Thursdays, we're doing Todd Talk Thursdays. We're doing videos on, things that I'm getting asked throughout the week. Typically if I get asked more than twice, it's getting turned into a video. So Facebook, Instagram, we have our website, the Fedie Group. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. That one is off. This one is on. Thanks again for tuning in to Beyond the Keys, Pat Lotz podcast. As always, Chris Lotz, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yep.
Pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to use those like, comment, and share buttons below. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pat Lotz Real Estate for more helpful home buying and selling tips. Want a free comparable market analysis? Scan that QR code on your screen or visit our website at www.patlotz.com and fill out the request form. There's lots to love in Livingston County.